I am going to offer a little bit of financial advice in relation to social situations. But let you know right now, I am not a certified financial advisor. I'm not going to give specific recommendations. I'm just going to speak on a general common sense situation. Okay? I just got off of the phone not too long ago with a couple that I became familiar with through a friend, and their biggest argument is money. And according to many studies and polls, they say the number one reason why a lot of couples have problems is because of financial reasons. We live in a society now where it's all about getting as much as you can and showing as much as you can and living in excess. Somewhere along the line in history, we have conditioned ourselves to believe that living small is being small. And that's not true at all. There was nothing wrong with our ancestors when they decided to just live within their means. Some of them lived below their means. How many times that you've gone to funerals or you've gone to will readings and you've heard that this simple person who lived in a one-bedroom apartment had a ton of money set aside somewhere when they passed on? The people that were handling their final affairs had nothing to worry about, and they all walked away with a check. But now we live in a debt-driven society. It's all about spending, spending, spending. We're not taught to hold on to anything. And in some cases, for some people that are involved in government programs, they can't save but only so much money in the bank, or else they'll get cut off from government program. Numerous times I've talked to people who live on the system, and they'll make that extra side money and it's stuck in a house safe or a shoebox. They can't put it in their bank account. Their bank account is only open so they can get that check every month. That's a risky way to live. And also on the flip side of that, what about the people who have these manufacturing and good paying jobs and they get paid good money? And they wind up supporting families in the whole 9 yards. But they have no other source of backup income whatsoever coming in on a regular basis. They're probably working 60, 70 hours a week at their job, and they don't have enough time to even look at a side hustle or a side business to set aside money. Then one day they go into work and realize their whole department's being scaled back. Or they lose their job due to, issues on their part, and that was their primary source of income. They go home and they have to deal with the fact that they're going to a home that they still have 17 or 18 years left to pay the mortgage on. They have a car sitting in the driveway or two where they have at least 5 or 6 more years of payments. They have children that are either in high school getting ready to go to college, and because they technically don't qualify for Pell Grants and scholarships are few and far between, they have to come out of pocket to pay for these kids to go to school. Pressure staring them in the face, but they just lost that job. I'm not trying to advocate violence of any kind, but I'm just trying to make you understand the mentality of people who have financially overextended themselves based on one source of income. They dug this hole. So what they do is, instead of trying to think of a rational way to scale things back until they can get another position, until they can get another source of income, or if it's a situation where they can go to a legal counsel, there might be grounds for recourse where they can get a settlement regarding to the employer. They're not thinking about that. They snap in their minds, and the first thing they want to do is go get a gun and then go back to the job and shoot up everybody. They're disgruntled. They're hurt. This is happening more often than not, and I wasn't going to speak on it, but it seems just about every 1 to 2 weeks you hear of a story somewhere where a disgruntled employee goes into a place where people are working, minding their own business. These places are supposed to have security cameras and the whole 9 yards. They're supposed to be secure. A lot of them require access passes, but these people are able to go in and to harm and destroy lives of people who are simply trying to do the basic thing of coming and going to work. These are the times that we live in, people. People that are so overextended to the point financially that they feel that because they lost their job, it's everybody else's fault at that job that they are suffering financially, and it's not. It's a shame that these things are happening. Our economy is in turmoil right now. There's no doubt about it. This is the time where you have to consider all options. And I talk to some people who do have jobs, that long-standing jobs, and when I try to get on this subject, the first thing they want to say is Deanna's being negative. Deanna's not being negative. Deanna's being realistic. And I'm really sorry that you don't want to get your head out of the clouds, but that situation could be you, especially if you don't have any money saved. People have a problem with scaling back their expenses. They always want to try to get more. They never want to cut back. They get a few dollars extra more in a raise a week, and they're ready to just go berserk. Why not just save it? Why not invest it? Why not use it to start a business on the side, just in case things get crazy with the job? You'll still have a little cushion to lay on. What is the urge to have to incur all of these things? It all boils down with trying to project an image and have other people think that you're so great and wonderful. I hear people say all the time, they don't care what people think. That's a lie. Because when you are sitting there financially overextended, just so other people can talk about how great and wonderful that you are trying to keep up with the Joneses, you fail to realize that the Joneses are catching more hell than you are, and you're trying to catch up with, and you're trying to keep up with them. And in a lot of cases, after police do their investigations and go deep into the case, come to find out those disgruntled employees are disgruntled because they had a lot of financial stress and strain. And in a lot of those cases, those people were financially overextended from the rip. And had they not had that pressure on them in the first place, it wouldn't have bothered them as much if they lost their job. But their anger is displaced. Instead of looking in the mirror or sitting down and breathing and thinking about how they can make their way through this because they didn't have anything set aside, because they didn't have an extra income to fall on, they would rather just go blame the people who fired them. Come on. It's wrong. And you get innocent people involved and they lose their lives because somebody doesn't have their programming straight. You have to be responsible for your household. Now, I know this is something that you're expecting me to be one of these bleeding hearts and talk about how pitiful and sad the situation is that they killed these people. It is sad. Any loss of life is sad. I am not saying that it's not sad. Any loss of life needlessly like that, it is sad. I am just looking at the situation, the motivation as to why these people do these things. They want to blame the job because they lost all this money and everything. But if you saw how they were living before they lost the job, they were overextended to begin with. Be responsible with what you're blessed with. That's all I'm trying to say. So that way, if a situation comes up where you do lose your primary source, you don't have to be so stressed out to the point where you feel you need to resort to something like that. Get it right. That's all. Just saying.